everybody, Ellen here. Welcome back to a new video. Today I am going to haul some books, and not just any books, because this is going to be my library book haul. I haven't been to the library in years. I used to go frequently, but then I decided that my TBR was too big, so I probably shouldn't add more to it because I should focus on the books I have. But now, when I can't really afford to buy that many books anymore, I figured it's a good time to start going to the library again. So this time around I picked up 6 books, so let's talk about them. So the first book that I've actually started reading is Beyond the Wand, The Magic and Mayhem of Growing Up a Wizard by Tom Felton. So this is his biography that came out last year, and basically we get to follow Tom's childhood and how he ended up getting into the sort of acting industry and the different parts he had before, you know, Harry Potter, and I guess we're gonna read a lot of his life about after Harry Potter as well. And there's a lot of pictures in here, of course, too. I've read about 81 pages, so I'm like 1/3 through it, and I'm really enjoying it. It has a very good like voice. So yeah, this is the first book. And then we have The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. And I've just been wanting to pick this one up for a while now, and I stumbled across it and I figured, why not? So we meet Esther, and she wins this internship for this New York fashion magazine in 1953. She's elated. She thinks that finally her dreams as a writer will come true. But in between all the cocktail parties and the manuscripts, her life is sort of starting to spin out of control. And she finds herself spiraling into depression and eventually a suicide attempt. And she grapples with difficult relationships and a society that refuses to take a woman's aspirations seriously. So what I've heard, this is supposed to be like vaguely based on her own life. So yeah, this is gonna be hard topic to read about since there's suicide and depressions and stuff like it in it. But yeah, it's a modern classic, so I felt like I need to read it at some point, right? And then we have a book I've heard so much about, and this is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. And I don't really know anything about this one, to be honest. So we meet a third-year PhD candidate named Olivia Smith. She doesn't believe in a lasting romantic relationship, but her best friend does, and that's what got her into this situation. And that's because her best friend actually convinces Olive to, you know, start dating. And since she's a scientist, she basically just wants to require proof on, you know, the fact that a lasting relationship works. So she does what any self-respecting biologist would do. She panics and she kisses the first man she sees. And that happens to be Adam, who is a young hotshot professor and, you know, reigning tyrant. So I'm guessing there's gonna be some drama and maybe some hate to love. And now we have a book that I've heard so much about. I've seen it floating around on BookTube, but I've never actually looked up what it's about. And that is Clara and the Sun by Kazu Ishiguro. And I just happened to see this, which is basically the reason for all of these books. I happened to see them and I knew I wanted to pick them up. So I don't really know much about this one, but we meet Clara, who is an artificial friend, and she is at this sort of storefront, and she can see everyone who sort of browses into the store and what everyone's doing, all of the customers walking by and everything like that. And her wish is that someone someday will choose her. But when the possibility emerges that her circumstances may change forever, Clara is warned not to get too invested in the promises of humans. So it sounds really cool. I've never read a book. I haven't really read books about IA that much, so it's gonna be interesting. And then we have another romance book, and this is If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy. And this is basically sort of a modern spin on Cinderella, I'd say. So we meet Cindy. She is a fashion-obsessed, plus-sized woman. She has trouble finding like fashionable clothes in her sizes, so she has instead become obsessed with shoes because that's her way of expressing herself. She has a shiny new degree but no job in sight, so she ends up moving back in with her stepmother Erica, and she is an executive producer of the world's biggest reality dating show. And there's one slot that very last minute opens up and Cindy gets thrust into the limelight, and you know, shit goes down. And then the very last book is The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. And as you might have seen, I recently read The Nightingale, which I'd had on my TBR for forever. So I figured why not pick up another one. And this is a hunker. But this book takes place in Alaska in 1974. It's sort of an untamed, unpredictable sort of story, I guess. And we follow a family in crisis struggling to survive at the edge of the world. But it's also a story of young and enduring love. And that's basically all we get to know. So, I mean, I really like Kristen Hanna's way of telling a story, so hopefully I will enjoy this one as well. So yeah, those were all of the 6 books I ended up picking up from the library. This time, we'll see what happens next, if I'll have the time to read them all before I have to return them in a very short amount of time, honestly. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this sort of small book haul, and I hope we see each other in the next one. Bye!